Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode. This week, I'm going to be doing a weekly update where I talk about the things that inspired me and I've been researching this week. The first is I recently watched War Games, which is an 80s film that I had not seen. As I was watching it, I noticed for the first time how much 80s films have wider shots. I really wanted to capture the tone of the 80s. And part of that is shooting wider shots and not letting everything be out of focus in the background. Execute the tone from a visually standpoint is by shooting on lenses that were made from the 80s. I may not be filming a film in the 80s, but I can shoot through a lens that was made in the 80s. It's like I'm literally looking through a time period. I mean, to me, that is just incredible. And so I end up finding these old lenses that were commonly used called the Canon K35 lenses. And I absolutely love the feel. And it takes the edge off. Again, like more likely, I know I'll be shooting digitally because of production costs. It'd be cheaper, but the lenses will help. In my mind, I always associated with that was something that you would maybe achieve the look and the feel of the 80s through filtration that you put on the lens or in post. But I was very hesitant about doing anything post because oftentimes I don't really like manipulating footage in post to look like something. I'm not a big fan of it. So the fact that I can do it all in camera through the lens, amazing. Because also the lens is interacting with the light. It changes the way it looks. So obsessed. Haptic visuality is basically filmmaking is not just a visual medium or experience. They actually evoke multiple senses in our body. How you film things and having wider shots and allowing yourself to see what's happening in the frame is actually key to creating a haptic visuality, that feedback, that emotional impact. This is something that I've been studying for a long time. And one of the things that I find fascinating is sometimes I'll hear a director in an interview talk about his film. And when he talks about it, he goes into depth in his perception of why he made this film. And what's interesting is his understanding of the point he wanted to make in the film is not always what you get from watching their film. And when I watch their films, I think, wait a minute, that's like what they said seems way more interesting and engaging and compelling than what I watched. The talent is there and the craft is there, but why sometimes there's a disconnect? And this led me down a path of thinking about how a lot of directors, I think, struggle to understand their relationship to their audience, and that a lot of times directors have a relationship with their ideas and with their stories, but I think they fail to understand and grasp that how that relationship translates directly to their audiences, meaning how is their audiences engaging with their own story, which is a direct result of engaging with them, right? Because as directors, the stories we create are oftentimes coming from ourselves. I have been thinking a lot about of how am I developing a direct relationship with my audience through the stories I'm telling, and not just picturing my audience as like, I hope they see my movie, I hope they come to it, but what is my actual relationship to them through this movie? What am I conveying? What am I saying? And is that clear? And having been thinking about that and researching it, I can tell you without a doubt that as I've been working on my next draft, the 5th draft of my script, just by thinking about that very question, I rewrote the entire opening to my script because I realized that the opening of my script does not establish that relationship with my audience. It does not say, I want you to be in on this here. I want you to understand what's happening so you can be along for the ride. It was too much of a meta commentary on the idea of what I wanted to say, but it lacked of establishing the actual relationship where audiences can go, I feel it, I understand it. It's not just using I'm not just focused on the concept of the idea. So incredibly powerful, interesting things for me, I think. So anyways, that's my weekly update of all that's going on in my brain and all that I found interesting. Again, I'll put the links to the video for on haptic visuality and the link to the lenses that I'm researching in case you want to check those out. I hope you guys find this interesting and insightful, and I will see you next Thursday.